This content is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained on here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by Draper Goren Holm or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever.
Hey everyone, it is me. We are here. Joseph is here too. Say hi, Joseph.
Hey, what's up?
Boom, boom, boom. We're recording.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
I am recording this on the computer now.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Boom. All right. It says it's recording. Boom, 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 boom. I am apparently recording.
The entire bottle of control. They're all exactly the same.
Crypto art, and then what it really is an NFT.
Wow. Eddie wants to slap the bag.
So this is the next best thing.
DeFi is going to be a bubble.
It's provably scarce.
With Mad Dog.
Crypto, gold, and silver.
Transparent substance.
Take my money, start a war with it.
Without further ado,
Cheers to you, brother.
Get shit done.
Because the system has to collapse before that.
Cheers. I feel much better now.
Cheers.
wow, that was heavy.
Boom. Welcome to Blockchain and Booze number 109. If you are watching on one of the streams, I want to thank Lunar Crush. I want to thank Blockchain Radio for syndicating this. But if you're watching on one of those streams on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever, come to meet.blockchainbooze.io if you want to hang with the community, ask questions in the chat, do all that fun stuff. This is a really fun one. We've got some of our friends back. Mike and John have been on this show before, but Matthew and Pietro are brand new to the show. Welcome to Blockchain and Booze. Cheers, guys. Thanks for having us.
Cheers. Thank you.
So this is going to be fun because we not only get to talk about our, the trending favorite topic and maybe what I talk about a little too much lately, which is NFTs. We get to bring it to giving and charity and things like that. And I know a lot of you actually participated in an auction I did months back when I first created Punk Ape Strong. I raised some Tez because the Giving Block added support for Tezos. So I think we got like 500 Tez donated to my favorite organization that I donate to out here. But so I'm excited to have Pietro on from the Giving Block, and Matthew is here from the ASPCA, which everyone knows. And it'll be fun to hear what you have to say, from the perspective of an organization getting crypto donations and things like that. So welcome back, guys. Welcome to the show, Matthew and Pietro. Why don't we just start with getting everyone a little bit of an intro on you personally, not just your organization. Let's start at the top. We'll do a roundabout. Matthew, welcome.
All right. So thank you for having me. Definitely excited to be here and talk about this subject. I'm relatively new to this space, so I want everybody to kind of take it easy on me today. But myself, I've been in cause partnerships, working with nonprofits and for-profits, getting them together to help do good for animals. So I've been working for nonprofit about 10 years now, at the ASPCA about 5. And it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. It's an amazing organization. Obviously, everybody here knows what the ASPCA is. And we're excited to be taking this next step into the donation field of crypto and NFTs.
Nice. Are you guys currently accepting donations in crypto, just like direct donations?
Not direct. We are, thanks to Pietro and the Giving Block. I think everybody in the nonprofit world can thank the Giving Block now. You definitely filled a void that was necessary. So we are taking crypto through the Giving Block, and we are obviously partnering with NFTs to receive funds that way as well.
Nice. Yeah, I think I think it's become a part of it's always been a part of the crypto culture to kind of give back and create these sort of circular economies and all that. But I love the trend in sort of the NFT space where almost every project at this point comes up with a charity to support or some greater good they'd like to give back to. And I could imagine there's quite a few dog projects or animal projects in general that are giving some love to the ASPCA, which is super fun. Hey Thomas, yeah, reminder to everyone on LinkedIn, everywhere else, go to meet.blockchainbooze.io and come hang with the rest of the community. Pietro, would love to get your background and hear a little the high level on the Giving Block before we dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for everybody tuning in. Thanks for having me here. I guess I have a little bit of a less traditional background because I don't think I've had a job that's longer than 6 months outside of crypto. So I've kind of been in the space since about 2016. Previously worked at a recruiting firm called Proof of Talent, works on recruiting for crypto-based companies and firms. Had to give them a shout out, but I am the partnerships manager at the Giving Block. And we're essentially a platform that assists nonprofits to accept native crypto donations. Right now, we accept about 80 different assets, working with 1,400 plus nonprofits, including our friends over at the ASPCA. So it's great to have you here. The real foundation for what we're trying to do is, crypto no hassles for nonprofits that are looking to grow the pie when they see that kind of demographic turnover in giving in their donor base. And, we have so many people plugged into all this crypto wealth and all this exciting new novel forms of giving, including NFTs, that we work with, folks not only just on the nonprofit side to help them crowdfund, raise donations, but also for crypto donors to be a solution for them, analogous the same way people donate stock and other traditional forms of assets. We have a platform that allows you to get an automated tax receipt to help you optimize your giving strategy and use your crypto to maximize your social impact strategy as well. So we've done, I think, a little over $13 million in NFT related charity last year, and we'll certainly eclipse that this year with the trajectory that things are going on. But really excited to be here and kind of share the good word of how NFTs are improving the world across a couple of different sectors.
That's huge. That's huge. I've got 18,000 feature ideas for you. I'm gonna drop in. We're just gonna change this in a minute to after the Nifty Spirits guys give their intros to Alon pitches ideas to the Giving Block. Mike, you've been on the show before, but give us a quick background and tell us why I haven't heard you play an electric guitar yet.
Yeah, no, great to be back. Great to be here with everyone. Thank you all for having us and for taking part in this session. My background to recap last time we were on here, but just quickly, my background's in kind of strategic communications and PR, and spent a lot of time doing blockchain PR as well for kind of startup companies and then larger tech companies as well. Kind of worked across the whole space, but have been kind of long on blockchain for a while now, long-time enthusiast, long-time investor. And it was last year when we really saw, where this space was going to go and said, there's no time like the present to really dive in head first and see what we can do here. So that was kind of what led us to starting the project called Nifty Markets, which is, the parent company here of Spirit Punks, which is kind of one of the first ventures. But really what that project is focused on doing is figuring out and working to bridge physical products, luxury consumables, collectible products to the blockchain, to Web3 through NFT and blockchain technology.
Awesome, huge. And John, is that a sock monkey Sailor Gary behind you?
It is actually. My you wouldn't believe it, but my mom found it in a thrift store, and it has a play along song, which I'm sure is.
Nice.
But yeah, I won't get the copyright infringement for you. But yeah, obviously I've been on here. Thanks, Alon. Thank you everyone for joining. Obviously, my background, longtime blockchain enthusiast, have a world-class distillery in California. We identified as long-time blockchain enthusiasts, what the kind of new utility sets of NFTs we're starting to provide. We really had no idea kind of how deep the onion really goes. And obviously, I don't think we know quite yet, but immediately once we started considering how you'd go about, viewing, these NFTs as beyond, JPEGs, beyond this kind of just digital art asset, and kind of discover the tool sets. As, longtime philanthropic enthusiasts and longtime animal lovers, you said, where is this really going to make a difference? How are these technologies going to revolutionize society, change, your ability to, direct your intentions better, but also as a brand creator, give your community those tools and what that means for long-term brands and brand building and, what it means for nonprofits on the other side. So very excited to be here. Matthew and Pietro are, really kind of moving, it takes everyone on all sides. NFTs aren't just for, the crypto enthusiasts, like long-term crypto trader. These are, more akin to, the dynamics of what websites were, in terms of their potential technology layers, and really should be utilized and will be utilized by everyone, a decade from now or less. So we're just excited to kind of build on that.
I think it's so crazy exciting, the opportunity that we have, right? And I think that we can say it, and we've been saying it over and over again for years, sort of, the name Web3 is just an implication of it, right? But saying it's the next evolution of the internet and the next .com kind of, era and all that. But it really is, right? Like, we're just starting to see it. And, I brought this up so many times, but like when John from Lunar Crush, brought up the fact, like 6 months ago, John from Lunar Crush called it and goes, Facebook's biggest threat is Bored Ape Yacht Club. And I laughed at him. I literally, my exact words were, are you fucking high? Like, yeah, right. Like, that's crazy. But you see how community drives what happens, right? And you see what happens when a brand actually has sort of ambassadors and people are bought into it in a way that Web 2.0 or even, think about social media sort of started changing that, where people could actually measure the brand's worth based on their fans. But now the fans have ownership in different ways, and brands are so, fans are so much more loyal, and you can make things more sticky, more exciting, right? So it's so exciting to see what will happen and what will change. And I was just reminded really quickly that we've got Sailor Gary right here, from his pirate costume idea. I think you change the clothing in later versions, but I think this is pretty good. But going back to it all, right? Like, I think, Pietro, you not only are seeing this from the perspective of crypto early adopters, enthusiasts, people who hold crypto wanting to make donations in crypto, partly just to prove a point. Maybe there's some tax benefits of just going direct versus not swapping it and whatever. But mostly it's, I think, to prove a point. We want to at least, if you're true believers like us, you want to give. And when I saw, for example, Tezos being supported by the Giving Block and being a big Tezos fan, I made it a point to create an opportunity to do it. And then the nonprofit that I wanted to give to, the one that my wife and I give to every year here next to where we live, didn't know how to take crypto payments. And I told them to sign up with the Giving Block, and it took them some hand holding and some walking through. So you get to see this from the perspective of both sides of the table, right? What's sort of the hardest part in all of that are people, are nonprofits generally skeptical? Are they just happy to get any donations? I'd love to hear some more stories in that world, and maybe it'll help the rest of us in convincing, the more traditional worlds around us how to interact with crypto.
So one of our co-founders, Pat Duffy, has a great saying, which is that unfortunately nonprofits don't get to flex their innovation muscle very frequently. They're more tied up in doing the good work that makes the world a better place, less so worried about optimizing, let's say, their back-end infrastructure or looking at how to maintain a crypto wallet themselves, right? And so I think when he and our other founder, Alex, founded the company, they noticed that there was a significant gap in the tools and infrastructure available for nonprofits to really maximize and grow that pie of donations. I thought that was, super compelling when I first started working at the company, because you think of nonprofits as being, sort of to the side of the traditional economy, when in reality they work in tandem with the traditional economy. Corporate giving is very standardized across the United States. And as crypto matures as an ecosystem, they thought, and we think as a company, that not only will this, kind of pie grow and people will give, but naturally crypto folks donate quite a bit more than their sort of, just call them TradFi counterparts, right? There's a lot of, dreamers in the space that want to do good in the world. And so nonprofits, want things to be easy. They want them to be relatively low cost and low maintenance, right? The same as any other consumer of any other good, I imagine. So what we've done is we've abstracted away so much of the complexity of having to, say, manage private keys, having to learn about every single asset that's accepted through our widget. Making the nonprofits understand that it's actually quite easy and that we're really a turnkey solution that doesn't require you to staff up, extra folks to monitor this, this dashboard that we give you. I think that's the biggest barrier to entry. Once they learn, they're pretty eager and quick to onboard with us. I'm sure Matthew can speak to that from the perspective of the ASPCA, but I think the other thing is, this innovation is somewhat born out of necessity, right? The average donor demographic for charities and nonprofits skews a bit older than the Gen Z and millennial donor base of Web3 and crypto, right? I think that's incredibly compelling when you see a lot of social media savvy and active folks who want to participate in giving, not the same way that maybe our parents did, where they mail a check in and get a tote bag in the mail, but maybe they want to have a sweet PFP that represents a public commitment to do good in the world as an NFT, right? That's a way cooler way to interact with the charity and do something cool than, just getting kind of your subscription, thank you letter, your stewardship letter in a magazine or something. So that's the fun part about what we do, is we get to do all these types of bespoke campaigns. We get to help folks at an international level. I would say one thing that just proves the crypto thesis, generally speaking, is the work we've even been doing in Ukraine, right? We can now, as individuals, have the agency to support folks across the world where traditional banking infrastructure wouldn't allow us to do that. I thought, to me, that was, the most compelling way to prove that we're a company that does something that's actually value added to our clients, rather than just being a fun wrapper on top of something that people can do already. So I think there's a lot of things and a lot of directions we can go with, but it's a pretty exciting time to be thinking about donating.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we say. What's crazy is there's this huge difference in what we, I guess, aspire to be and what we say we're doing versus what happens on a regular basis, right? We could talk all day long about open borders in this borderless world where everyone can support everyone, and frictionless payments and all of these different things that we do. But then, to have fun, we're trading cartoon apes on the internet for exorbitant amounts of money, and it's offensive. It's as much as it's fun and it shouldn't be, it is offensive to the rest of the world, that because the types of numbers and the things are just, it's a little bit crazy.
It's an interesting landscape, just to chime in on that for a second, from my perspective, because you see this, people are sitting here trading JPEGs, which is the outside perspective. People say, oh, you're making a ton of money, and you're like, that makes no sense. And you're like, that's really not the point, and I don't want it to be the point, because it actually isn't what this represents at a really fundamental level, where this technology can go, how it can impact organizations, like nonprofits that are sitting here trying to do good. And there's just, I think, a misconception kind of, on a general basis that we're working to get past. I don't think we're close to getting past it yet. But Pietro, one of the other things I wanted to kind of touch on with what you said is I think there's a really interesting opportunity with with NFTs to say, you know, from a legacy perspective, you say, okay, someone sent in a check and got a tote bag. Whereas now you could say someone donated in crypto and got an NFT in return. And so you can say, now I can see my whole community digitally. I can actually like see what wallets these are held in. I can see the on-chain data and, you know, find out more information about the holders of these NFTs. But I can actually really start to identify my community of donors digitally. And that does a lot of really interesting things to say, okay, how, you know, if you're a donor for 10 years, you know, what does that look like? What does that mean, you know, to the organization? What do we say for our legacy donors? This is what this looks like now. For early on donors, okay, now you have a badge that says, you know, you're part of our community. You're a donor, you're a supporter, and you can display that publicly now, which is really interesting. You can display it digitally now.
I mean, people
say, hey, look at me. Look,
yeah, and it's not an uncommon thing, right? Like you give a lot of money to certain organizations, they put your name on a brick on the wall, or they put your name on a bench at the park, or they put your name on the building if you're you know, fortunate enough to be able to pay for that.
If you donate, you know, continuously to an organization that you care about, you're proud of that. That, you know, it's something you want to show. You know, if you get a plaque, you know, you're seeing more people in the digital world, in a digital realm, than you are inviting into your house. You know, it's, you know, especially that's more so true since the pandemic. But, you know, here we are. You know, you get to showcase an NFT. It could be, you know, in it you're also having the opportunity to blend new types of concepts. You know, you have this badge with authentication, but it could be a piece of art, you know, by someone, you know, so you're blending, you know, a badge of ownership with different types of media. You know, for us, you can say, hey, you can make a bottle of alcohol and you can put, you know, a piece of themed art on it, but you could also put music in it, or you could put supply chain data in it, or you can put, you know, and you can, again, ping your audience and say, or your community in this case, and say, what do you guys want to see? You know, what collaborations do you want to see? If we could have resources to re-incentivize you, to engage you further, you know, for you to bring in your friends, what would that look like?
It's not just, it's not just it's taking the, you know, there's a certain amount of showing offness in making donations that I love, because I go like all day long, if you're donating for vanity purposes, keep doing it, right? Like you're supporting a great organization, like who gives a crap, right? But the gamification of it all is something that I actually was thinking about this the other day, and I'd like to get Matthew's take in a second. But I was thinking about this the other day because I'm going to go to VCon in a few weeks in Minneapolis. And the last time I was in Minneapolis was in a previous life. I was there for the Nonprofit Technology Conference, and I was, before the word crowdfunding existed, we were building these things called social fundraising sites, and we're using social media to gamify fundraising, make it more transparent, make it more open, so you could share on MySpace when you made a donation to the ASPCA or whatever, right? And you're thinking about this, and it seems crazy because it's very normal to today's standards, but back then it was radical. Like you're going to put a fundraising widget on somebody's MySpace page. Like it seemed so like foreign to all of these groups. And there was the same 2 or 3 public companies at the time that were powering every single nonprofit's donation page. It was, one was called like Blackbot, and another one was called, I don't even remember, but there were these 2 companies, and trying to convince a nonprofit to just switch was crazy. So Matthew, now there is, you know, like I said, I mentioned the ape thing, which, you know, is the extreme, and it shouldn't be the use case, but like I see all the time, like I saw one of my son's Roblox games made NFTs, and you should see the comments on Twitter to that game developer. It was all negative. It was all these parents freaked out. You're indoctrinating our kids into this horrible thing that's bad for the environment. And 90% of it isn't true, but that's just what the public perceives. So from a nonprofit perspective, is there any kind of negative perception? Is there any hurdles to overcome? Because it should be our job as the rest of the community to educate people on this stuff and make it, like, I know that Pietro, you must spend a lot of your time just explaining to people that what they know about this space is totally different than what the reality is, right?
So that's a great question. Oh, go ahead, Pietro.
Oh no, I was going to say we definitely do that level of education, but I think you'd be surprised too when it applies to nonprofits. You know, a lot of the arguments don't hold water in terms of the traditional FUD that you would receive. I mean, you even think about, and I'll be brief on this because I want to hear what Matthew has to say, but when you think about even the environmental arguments against cryptocurrency, right? You could theoretically ESG the entire space for a very small fraction of, the profit generated in it, and have that all go to offsets or planting trees. And even there, you could, with one fell swoop, kind of make the whole argument go away. Granted, it's oftentimes based in ignorance or just lack of understanding. But yeah, I think a lot of nonprofits recognize that they want to be ingratiating themselves to this community appropriately and not, just making a splash and getting a lot of flack on Twitter, right? And we do help them with that and provide them the tools and resources to either, engage appropriately or, just let the folks that are in the minority but loud on Twitter just do their thing at the same time.
It's very well said. Engaged. It's not engaged in the minority that are very loud on Twitter. But the environmental impact was actually a big question. When I brought this to my leadership and I brought this up throughout the different teams, it was the first question I got. I did my research, so I was able to explain a little bit behind it. I'm so glad this came up here, so my peers that are watching can see that I wasn't making it all up. But part of what the ASPCA does. So we were founded in 1866, so we're extremely old, and we started as we want to protect every animal we can. Just pretty simple. We want to be, and since then we became the leading voice for animals, for vulnerable and victimized animals. So a lot of people think of us as dogs, cats, companion animals. But we are much bigger than that. We started as an equine rescue. New York City, saving horses that were being used, that were being abused in the street. Henry Berg, our founder, saw it happening, put a stop to it immediately. So we started as an equine, and we never gave up that other animals aspect of our work. But we became as big as we are now because of companion animals, dogs and cats. So part of what we do is a humane farming program. So part of our humane farming program has a big environmental campaign to it. Protecting the environment is important to farm animals, and it's a major part of what we do. So one of the hurdles internally, as to get back to the question here, was really getting over that. How? Because when you see Twitter, when you see what's on the news, you don't see the explanations. You see the headline, you say Ethereum or Bitcoin, horrible for the environment, going to destroy everything, stay away. So that was a big hurdle coming through a nonprofit, especially a nonprofit that has a climate impact to it. We are trying to protect the impact to protect animals. So, again, very big hurdle we had just to get over that. But again, very happy it's coming up now. My coworker is going to be thrilled to hear it. So,
yeah, it's really it's really tough, right? Because there's bits of truth in everything, and then the comparisons though start to completely poke holes in everything, right? Like the traditional finance system also happens to use electricity to power their servers and their lights and the cars that take the Brinks trucks to the bank and everything else that happens, right? And it's when you start comparing things, you realize like, oh, it's really not that different. And at the same time, none of us have ever put gas in our car to drive across town to buy our NFTs, right? So all of a sudden you start incorporating some of these other elements and it doesn't hold up, but that's okay. It just means we're insanely early and we need to explain and help people understand these things. And at the same time, I think that a significant portion of our community is just as obsessed with the environment as every similar portion in every other community, right? I spend a lot of my time in the open space near my house, going on hikes, sharing pictures of it on Twitter, and talking about how I'm buying some of that land in Super World or one of these other projects, and donating money to the Open Space Foundation that takes care of this land. And to me, I wouldn't be accepting of a completely of a community that would completely destroy the thing that I love the most, right? And I'm very happy that groups are trying to build better and smarter technologies and more efficient technologies, just like for cars, right? And so it's important to me. And so, but it is interesting, right? You do see, I guess, from the nonprofit's perspective, it's not as much as an issue either, because you're not exactly adopting the technology on this ongoing basis where you're using it so much. You're just accepting it as a donation. But it's still just an interesting dynamic, I guess. And the traditional world still, as long as there's politicians that are pushing against it, are going to have a certain percentage of your public being a little different. But let's shift focus to the more positive stuff. But I had to touch it. I had to ask you about it because I just get it on a daily basis, right? It's part of our job. But John, Mike, I think from your perspective, you're building a crypto project. The Doge vodka is. We saw the bottle mock-ups. We saw the pictures online. We know that it's coming. And I know you guys are donating some of the proceeds, but from your perspective, building a company, you're not just doing a single drop and donating a percentage to charity. You have this whole wait. We gotta hold on. Can I make you like let's see this. Give us a little, yeah. Look at that.
That's beautiful.
So, scooch it back so we can see that it is a rocket ship. Yeah. Dang.
I've had a couple people where it took them a second to register that, and as soon as they do, they're like, "Oh, that's so cool!" I love it.
So it starts with Doge vodka, but Sailor Gary's working on a lot of different products and things like that. From your perspective, being a part of the ethos of the company, tell me your feelings. Are you getting pushback? Is it more? I know the answer, right? I know that the community, the good outweighs the FUD and the bad. But tell me from your guys' perspective how you're attacking that, and how you're going to the big brands and to the retailers and the folks that you have to partner with.
So yeah, I'll jump in here for a second, and then John add some color to this. But we've kind of really had this interesting perspective in saying everyone in this space is donating some percentage of proceeds from the get-go. It's kind of just a baseline and a given, which is awesome. So let's just start and acknowledge that, to say communities demand that. They say, if you're going to put out some sort of project or whatever it is, we expect you to do some amount of good with it, regardless of where the project goes. So that as a baseline is a really cool starting point. But we were sitting here saying, working on this, how could you take it beyond that? How could you create kind of more of a larger ethos and lifetime, playing field here, where you say this actually creates value indefinitely, so that's kind of where we came up with this idea that we're still working on, and there's still kind of, a number of different hurdles that we're trying to, figure out how to work through. Is how could you tie lifetime royalty and value creation to NFTs for nonprofit organizations? And that's really where we see this going, and saying, why couldn't you have a product associated with a nonprofit that has an NFT to it, where that NFT, anytime it trades hands, anytime it's bought or sold, it has a royalty tied to it, and these organizations see value from that.
I want to throw something out there for soon after what you're going to say, because this is one of those features and things that I wanted to throw at Pietro for the giving block. I need maybe it's like a partnership with like Fireblocks or even like Prime Trust, behind the curtain company that powers these kind of things for exchanges. But I'd like a way to spin up a wallet address that's tied to me, the giver, that's also tied, it's a contract basically, that's also tied to, let's say, the ASPCA, so that I can actually have the giving baked into the smart contract, so I never actually have to collect the funds myself, go to the giving block and make the donation and do that. I want it automated and just automatically. It's the difference between original PayPal and adaptive payment that came later, where you could split payments. We need that for crypto.
So that's
Oh, sorry.
I think we're all very excited.
The gears are turning, boys. Yeah, we're ready to go. I'll say one thing. One of the cool things about what our payments widget does essentially is you can go through the workflow and generate a dynamic wallet address for the nonprofit. So let's use the ASPCA, for example. A lot of NFT innovators and creators are leaning into this.
Wait, you already have this feature?
So that's where we're going there. Yeah. So you could generate this wallet address that's directly tied to the nonprofit of choice. So let's say the ASPCA, you can put that directly in a smart contract here. So it's actually so on topic that you're bringing up alcohol and like brands that are in that space, because, and I actually have a couple reinforcements to Stella's here, but I'll tell you why. We did an activation with Stella Artois that was like, we don't want any revenue from a project. We just want to do something Web3, crypto native and enabled, but we want it all to go to charity. So they happened to, contract out an artist, Elias Stein, who made a collection on art blocks, who then minted that out, and I think sold out in 3 hours or so. But the cool part is all the royalties and 100% of the revenue generated by the project went directly to the wallet address associated with water.org, which is a charity that helps bring clean water all over the world. So they didn't ever have to touch any crypto. It went directly to a nonprofit wallet. We're a non-custodial solution, so we never touched it. It just went directly from community, who then received this really sweet NFT as a result. And then all of the proceeds went directly to charity. So that type of stuff, I mean, you talk about the like analog in the traditional giving space, how many hundreds of people do you need to get to go to a gala to then like have a big meal and do this thing to raise the same amount of funds, right? I think in 3 hours they raised close to $400,000. So you think about just how like not geographically constrained that type of giving is. It's more interactive, right? Because you get to be a part of an artistic community. You get to be part of, this brand, so supporters of the brand can be excited about it. I think of what Mike and John are doing is very, kind of analogous to that, and maybe taking it one step further where they're actively providing utility with the NFTs. But that type of stuff is, I think, the future of giving just generally.
Yeah, I think it's important to look at it. You're saying right now it's early. We're all about trying to garner participation, because that's the only way this infrastructure is going to be built. To what you were saying, Alon, there isn't a phenomenal way yet for somebody participating in an NFT purchase to easily claim the deduction from that, but it's possible. And it's going to take more and more people participating in the space. It's going to have to move from, what is this contemporary kind of affluent community. There a lot of these NFTs, like you were saying, are huge sums of money that are somewhat disproportionate and not, normalized to reality. But if you're trading a $5 asset or a $3 asset, that still should have the capacity to, provide this technology layer. NFTs and crypto shouldn't be looked at as a new community for nonprofits to target. NFTs and blockchain technology are new technology layer that enable new value creations.
It's like a better version of a what's the now I'm blanking on the name. What's the when you do a corporation that's focused on giving, like a what corp? What's it called?
You talking about a foundation?
Yeah, but like a green corp, like what Patagonia is.
A B corp, B corp. Yeah, like Patagonia, right? So Patagonia is building a company, and it's part of their ethos to give back, right? It's part of their thing to give back. Web3, the NFT communities are creating hundreds of new organizations, companies, DAOs, communities that are a much more transparent modern version of what a B Corp is supposed to be, right? Like Cliff Bar on their package. You buy a Cliff Bar, you eat a Cliff Bar, you read the pack, you get stoked on the founder's journey, and you see in the corner there's a certified B Corp. So they give some percentage of their profits, but this is like a verifiable on the smart contract. Every cent of revenue that comes through gets split, and you can see which organizations they support and things like that. Much more transparent, and I love that stuff. I'm gonna throw something out there. Maybe it's the ASPCA, but I'm right now in the process of. I'll let you the people watching behind the curtain a little bit. I'm in the process of figuring out a very cool NFT version of the LA Blockchain Summit tickets that are going to happen for the next LA Blockchain Summit in October. Wouldn't it be awesome if we build in a some giving in there, and we I need the community to let me know what nonprofit we should be giving to, because I would like to have that as a vote. Maybe it's the ASPCA.
Right here.
There's here's something that's really cool. I just pitched this idea. Don't tell anyone, people. I mean, if you're 45 minutes into this, nobody's watching other than the diehards. So I'm joking. There's a few thousand of you actually watching on the streams, but there's I don't know if I want to give this up, actually. There's a big company doing NFTs, and you may have or may not have seen them on this show before, and dogs are at the center of their NFTs, and they may have a huge presence. They will have a big presence at LA Blockchain Summit, but we may do something that's really, really wild and weird at LA Blockchain Summit for them. The ASPCA is definitely a good extension of that. Maybe we need to make sure they have a presence there, but I would love for the community to give me a very thinly veiled BB Studios. This company whose name rhymes with Agami is doing it. So, but we have some really cool stuff. But anyway, the rest of you think about what nonprofit we should donate to. It should probably be the ASPCA. Maybe it's a combination. We should have the community vote. And what I'm also going to do is twist Mike and John's arm. And I think that certain token holders, NFT holders, are going to have to get like a bottle of premium or something. I don't know. But okay, getting back on subject. I'm sorry, I've had about half my drink. So the I have a question here. This is not really, most of these are not really related. Hold on. Yes, Pravi, we should do a blockchain booze sting operation to recover the stolen apes. I think if anyone can do it, it's Rankin and Jim together as a duo tag team. The ape coins, no. Okay, Doge Vodka. Christina, friend of ours, had a really good suggestion. You guys gotta go get Dogecoin or Doge Vodka partnered with GigaFest. It's a Tesla festival kind of thing.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Right,
I like that idea.
Hey, for the rest, actually, I'm going to do the quick reset thing here. Is everybody who is watching, if you are watching on one of the streams, because there's a lot of you on the streams, I see you there. Oh, that's a great idea. Eric, maybe you hit me up and we do something like this, and I bring you on because I think this is a huge topic, and I'd love to have Rodney Sampson, one of our venture partners, on to discuss that as well. But all of you that are watching on one of the streams, come to meet.blockchainbooze.io. You can ask questions, jump into the QA and ask questions to my guests. And afterwards, you'll be able to turn on your camera and hang out with the community if you'd like. Now, guys, we there's this whole holistic thing going on here now. And I think that we agree that this community loves this kind of thing. I think it's for most people a lot more exciting. Hold on, I'm just seeing some questions come in here. So, what I would love to see, I think Mike and John, you've seen this. Actually, Pietro, you've definitely been in the mix. What's been the most creative ways communities have involved nonprofits into their communities, right? Like, I think that it's really easy to say I'm giving 5% to the ASPCA, but I think engaging the audiences could create even more good. I'd love to hear from you. That was one of the questions I had jotted down earlier, and I forgot to bring up.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the fun things I get to do as a partnerships manager. Really, my whole job is to connect organizations in the crypto space to patronize nonprofits in some fun way, right? So I can come up with a few examples here. We did an online sort of metaverse charity concert, which was one with the folks over at Audius, right? So they had a couple artists that dedicated a couple of hours of their time to play live sets for the community. And it was a free concert, but all were encouraged to donate. And I want to say we raised over $200,000 in that single day just for various arts and culture nonprofits. One of the cool things that we do, and this is kind of interesting in terms of like community governance too, to make it easy for folks who have to figure out which nonprofits they want to sponsor or support. We actually have these things called impact index funds that basically bundle nonprofits that are thematically aligned. So for the ASPCA, they're probably in our animals cause fund. So if you really care about animals but don't know or can't decide which nonprofit to support, you can actually just pick that, and the donations spread across all those nonprofits there.
We're gonna have to hang and discuss LA Blockchain Summit and stuff after this.
100%. Another really cool thing to your point is I think like really fun activations around like certain NFTs, like giving utility to folks who donate. There's some folks that are like doing special collections for folks that might like post a donation receipt or have a verified donation receipt from us. That type of stuff is really cool. So it's like a badge of honor for the community. It could even be a POAP, for example, keep it pretty low cost. We've even done activations. We have a whole day of giving called NF Tuesday at the end of the year. Right around December when it's giving season, people need to get their tax offsets in by the end of the year. We invite the whole community to kind of come together and just do a really cool, big blowout in terms of artistic folks coming together with the donor community. It's a really great way to activate that audience. And then there's things like conferences, even like you're saying, thinking through how to, maybe donate a portion of ticket sales, or, if you're a company wanting to do more than just like, participate by giving 5%, you can donate your like trading fees for the day or something, have a competition between different organizations or platforms. Different stuff like that's been pretty popular.
That's great. Yeah, I think we'll definitely commit to. Well, I know Joseph, my partner, is we personally, on our personal note, my wife and I give to organizations, usually children's organizations, things like that. Joseph is a big time supporter of animal organizations like the ASPCA and dog specific charities as well. So we got to do something for LA Blockchain Summit. I think we will, but I think we should do something more, right? Like we have the ability to give NFTs and proof for attending certain sessions and things like that we're going to do this year. We're not only going to do certain sessions and certain maybe private things that you have to have a certain NFT to get into, right? Nice. Like a few different private things that maybe only 10% of the ticket holders will be able to get into if they get a certain attribute on their ticket. But there's going to be the opposite of that. If you attend a session, you can get a proof of attendance. Maybe there needs to be something where if you come to the event and you donate to any charity of your choosing on the Giving Block live at their booth or something, we give you a special NFT for participating. And maybe it's by a famous artist or it's a new experience. Like I like the idea of rewarding an experience with like another experience, right? So totally. I think we can do so many cool things. We'll come up with some fun stuff. I'm asking the community if you have any other questions, throw them out there. I love some of these questions, but like, I think this is actually interesting. I would like to get an opinion. It's not exactly what the question is, but it's not related, but it is related. I would like to get Matthew's take on on virtual land and metaverse type of stuff. I know it's completely out of your world, but like would the ASPCA consider having a headquarters in the metaverse or something like that, where you can leverage participating in this virtual world to potentially bring in a new community of people to support the ASPCA, right? Instead of a brick on the wall, it could be a brick on your building in the metaverse.
Yes, actually, great question. I love these virtual worlds. It's actually a conversation I was just having with internally, and this is all brand new to nonprofits. So we are walking before running. So having a full-on shelter or headquarters in a metaverse, that's going to take a bit of time, but there is nothing stopping it. And that's what I love about the nonprofit world and companies like the Giving Block.
Yes, Pietro, could you facilitate an NFT donation to the ASPCA or a group like that? For example, could I donate a plot of land in Decentraland with a building that I already build for ASPCA to them, or make it really easy for them in some way like that?
So that functionality we don't offer at this point in time, but not to get into the announcement of the announcement type crypto language that we typically do, right? We will soon have the opportunity for donations of other assets directly to nonprofits. One of the great things about being able to partner with the nonprofits themselves is facilitating that type of introduction where we can help them manage that sort of digital sanctuary. And the cool thing too is like all this stuff is QR code enabled, where they could even have, a QR code for their donation address or their widget directly in the metaverse.
Yep.
So if you stroll by, you could theoretically have an NFT museum of ASPCA NFTs where, it's a free exhibit, but if you want to tip on the way out, you can donate directly to the nonprofit in the metaverse, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, and you could also do like BB Studios in one of our community members and teams that are participating. They do things like grabbing POAPs while you're in the metaverse, or you could create these things like almost like vending machine looking things in your metaverse land where you could buy an ASPCA t-shirt to wear while you're in Decentraland, and that is a donation to the organization, right? You could do a lot of fun stuff like that. One really good idea in here before I get towards the wrap up and have people start giving me their sort of where to follow them. Chris had a good one. He said ASPCA coin in the multiverse. You hang. He said hang pictures of donors in galleries in the ASPCA building, just like the galleries of NFTs, but it's their real picture. So it's like Inception style, right? Like you actually see the real person's picture instead of this funny, instead of the picture of the ape or whatever you normally would have in a metaverse. It'd be pretty fun.
That's a great idea. I'm actually writing this down. Thank you for all the ideas. I'm going to go back and
anytime. You can count on me to change the subject and start pitching ideas to whoever I'm on the phone with for many
I got
hours.
a quick question, actually, just kind of along that same vein. Thinking about from our side of the table and then from the consumer side of the table, Matthew, Pietro, for both of you, like from your perspective, what is most helpful in adopting this technology for nonprofits and organizations like this? How can people from our side of the table actually help that adoption?
From a nonprofit side, that's a great question. I've been working in corporate partnerships for nonprofits for now 10 years or so. We lean on the for-profit industry for their expertise in their industry. One of the reasons I was excited to work with you is, we do very well in the alcohol industry, spirits industry. We've had a lot of partners alcohol and animals just happen to go together pretty well. So it works. So expertise to bring us into space. So we don't have to do the large lifts. As a nonprofit, our resources are going to what we do best. Our mission, saving every animal that we can, making sure no animal is harmed. And that's where we want to put our energy and our resources. So partnering with companies that are experts in this field and make anything to make it easier to remove that barrier of entry and frictionless society, which we all kind of love, is what nonprofits need. And again, that's why I'm going to keep on going back to the giving block here. We couldn't have been more excited about the feature. It was a void that was seriously missing in our industry. And that just made it super, everything being basically hands off for us, which we can focus on what we do best. You guys focus on what you do best, and we work together to save as many animals as possible.
I love it. Before I do a roundabout, Mike and John, when's the Doge drop? Is that slated yet? It's still, I know that when you go on the website, it's coming soon, right?
We were gonna do it on April 20th, just to stick with memes. We're waiting on the last pieces of the physical product, which we're hoping to have in the next.
There are extra challenges when you're pairing the physical world and its supply chain demands. And
I can imagine you have to deal with some regulatory issues in shipping bottles and doing things like that.
COVID and supply chain has made everything fun. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Hey, didn't you get the memo that we're doing all digital things on the internet? Like we can hang out in our underpants, never leave our house, and you guys forgot that part of Web3.
No, I mean, we've been working on this whole project for since kind of the ideas really started originating, like over a year at this point. And we see all these projects that drop NFT collections, and they say utility later. Like, that's lame. Like, I want utility when a project comes. And so we've been sitting here kind of building the whole back-end infrastructure of this project so that by the time we actually kind of put everything out in the world, it's all real and it's all there. And so there's, all the fun hurdles that come along with that and all the real world timelines, but we're getting close. We're several weeks out now is our hope.
We may or may not have some metaverse assets for which we could create ASPCA virtual land events also. Just
I'm happy to help facilitate that. Like I just said, I've got I can participate. I would love to help with that too. This has been awesome, guys. I feel like we could hang out many more hours and hang out and just shoot the shit and come up with more ideas. So we're gonna have to do this again. Matthew, Pietro, Mike, John, thank you so much for coming. Why don't we really quickly, before we go, I want everybody to give a quick plug of where to follow them, where the best place to go, but I'm going to give my own beforehand. I'm going to be in New York, May 16th for Security Token Summit. I think I told you guys last time, if you're one of the OGs hanging out in the chat, hit me up. I'll make sure you've got a ticket if you'd like to be in New York with me. But before that, there's going to be 2 weeks of blockchain boozes I'm going to have to do on the road. I may do live versions of them at a couple of events that I'm at. I'm going to try my best to stream them, and I'll ask you guys next week what the best way to what the community wants to do. So let me know. It could be really fun. But I might have to figure out how to actually, I may just set up a laptop and point it at the stage and I hope the sound works well or something. We'll have to figure something out, but I'd like to do something even better than that. So I'll let you guys know, and you guys give me some ideas and maybe can meet up and help. Matthew, what's the best place to follow you and of course the ASPCA?
Yeah, the ASPCA, again, good thing about being 100 since 1866 is everything is at ASPCA. On any platform you can find us, it is at ASPCA. I am my email. I want everybody to reach out. Anybody with pitch ideas, anybody with business partnership ideas. It's matthew.carroll@aspca.org.
Love it. Thank you, Pietro.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys, for having me. I think I would just encourage everybody, if you touch crypto or participate in the ecosystem in some way, or you're looking to get involved for the first time, maybe a donation or working with your favorite nonprofit is that way that we get to mainstream adoption. So you can check us out at thegivingblock.com or at thegivingblock on Twitter. Myself personally, Pietro Moran on Twitter, and my DMs are open. So it sounds like I have to have a follow-up call with Matthew here just on all the ideas we unlocked on this call. But if anybody else wants to chat, please reach out. If you're a nonprofit, reach out. And if you want to do something cool for your favorite nonprofit, we're here to make it happen for you.
Yeah, I want to throw out there, a huge shout out to you guys. I told you I did that thing when I saw Tezos. I thought it would be a little bit easier because I didn't think it would take a lot of work on behalf of the nonprofit. But I think that something like a really good thing that happened with it was that I went to a nonprofit that I give a few $100 to, maybe $1,000 to every year. We more donate goods and things, and every time they do a drive for backpacks or whatever, we go overboard and do it. And because it's important to us. But I went to that nonprofit and I said, you need to accept crypto donations on the Giving Block because I have this money waiting for you. And they didn't have a choice, right? Like they got in touch with the team. I made email introductions and they figured it out, and I was able to donate. I think it was like 500 TES or 550 TES or whatever that was. It was like maybe $1,200, $1,500, whatever it was. But that's, for them, is one of the largest individual donations, maybe the largest they got all year from the crypto community. And now what are they talking about at their charity and to their community, to everyone, is how generous the crypto community is. So go to the Giving Block. If your charity is not there, if you give to the ASPCA every year, hell yeah, donate to the ASPCA. You should. It's wonderful, right? Great. But also, if you have a local charity that's not yet there, push them to make sure they get there. I think it's a really important thing. And talk about educating the rest of the world about our space. It's one of the best ways to do it. You're not telling them to buy something. You're not telling them to participate. You're not telling them to buy a cartoon ape. You're saying, I want to give you money. Please sign up on this website because the crypto community gives a shit. Like, we care and we want to do something nice. So I think that's, to me, one of my favorite ways I've gotten somebody new into crypto ever, right? So try it. It's awesome, and the Giving Block's a great product. I'm not affiliated with them in any way other than using them once, so it's not like a portfolio company like Nifty Spirits that I like to give a lot of love to, and I'm not conflicted in any way. They did a great thing, and I appreciate them.
Well, that means a ton. Thank you.
Where do we follow you?
Was that me? Sorry.
Yeah.
You can, so Spirit Punks is the project. You can follow us at @spiritpunks_ on Twitter, @spiritpunks pretty much everywhere else. Spiritpunks.io. My personal is mke.eth pretty much everywhere. But yeah, thanks for the conversation,
you got a three-letter .eth. That's like a big.
I paid way too much money for it.
I know. My Alon.eth is expensive. You don't want to part with ETH. Like it's a thing. John, what's the best place to follow you?
I wanted to give one, special thank, real thanks, Pietro, Matthew. Thanks for helping to help build. As Lunar Crush would say, you can't have crypto without community. Obviously, there's a lot to build here. There's a lot of infrastructure to be put in place, but it's the people who are participating who are building it now. It takes us. So we're excited to build here. Check us out at Spirit Punks. We have an upcoming Doge drop. We have a bunch of, obviously this is going to be partnered with the ASPCA. We're going to be doing some fun cost directions. We got a couple other partnerships. Giving Block has obviously helped us out in facilitating a lot of those. So, we're excited to be here. Thanks, Alon, so much for having us.
Dude, thanks you guys all for coming. What's the so it's @spiritpunks_, and then I know that I mostly get my Spirit Punks news from Sailor Gary's Twitter account. So
yep. what's Ape1926.
Ape1926. Okay, cool. That's the year that Sailor Gary started brewing hard alcohols, right? All right, cool. Hey, thank you guys so much. For everyone else, just one last reminder, go to meet.blockchainmoves.io if you want to chat with the community when I turn this off in just a second. Thank you for joining. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for having us, guys.
Thanks for having us.